Welcome to our Dream to Rise podcast. This is Cynthia Concordia, your host.
Welcome to our podcast, Dream to Rise. And I am so fortunate, really fortunate to have a guest with us here who's a cross-cultural consultant, a counselor, as well as a speaker. He works with leaders and teams who want to improve how they connect across cultures, especially in workplaces where people come from different countries, languages, and life experiences. He helps them strengthen communication, reduce friction, and build a culture where everyone feels they belong. And that's what we need here in this world. The results: stronger teams, improved retention, where people not only perform, they feel good. They feel good about themselves, trust each other, and thrive together. He is also an author who published Before and After the Border, 1 Month's Journey Home, which offers a compelling and humanizing immigration narrative. Here, he shared his journey as a miner navigating the complexities of the American immigration system. You know what? We met at the Fairfax County Coffee Networking event this August, just a few weeks ago, and found his story inspiring and empowering. Hence, I took the initiative to invite him to be a guest here at the Dream to Rise. Without further ado, let us welcome Dr. Ricardo Sanchez. Welcome, Dr. Ricardo.
Thank you so much, Cynthia, for inviting me to your podcast. It was really an honor to meet you the other day, just a week ago or 2 weeks ago, I think.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago.
Finding out that wonderful people live in the world, and I am very fortunate to have met you and also read your book. Also finishing up now, and what a story as well. Really inspiring story, and it's nice to see that there are a lot of people, and many of us have that little story there that may touch someone else. And you and I share that, and hopefully people will also find little things there that can be helpful for their lives, especially these days when we think that things are not going well here and there, but there is always hope, and that's where we are.
Yes, I absolutely agree. 1000% agree. We live in a very chaotic world now, and most of the time we tell ourselves, oh, what can I do? There's nothing we can do, and we get stuck in that situation. But actually, there are factors that we don't have any control. Whatever is we are experiencing, the circumstances, the conditions, but we have control in ourselves. And that's what we should be working on, and that's what we are sharing. And actually, that's the first thing that I would like to ask you. Dr. Ricardo, I would like to hear your story. And as what I've mentioned, our story makes a difference in the lives of other people because they see themselves, oh, I was in that situation. And actually, your story, I was also in that situation. Being an immigrant here, a Filipino, trying my luck as well in here in America with with my family. But okay, let us start. Can you tell us, something about yourself that brought you to where you are right now?
Yes. Okay, well, I'm originally from Peru, and Peru in the 1980s was going through a very harsh, very difficult economic situation, almost like the Depression era here in the States. The economy was really in a bad shape. Unemployment was so high, and I was just finishing high school, and going into the world where everything seemed like it was collapsing, it was very hard for me. And I didn't want to accept the idea of just being a charge to my family. So that's how I guess, the idea of maybe doing something uh, outside of the norm sometimes, because a lot of people sometimes we just have to accept that, okay, situation is like that, and I'm going to be unemployed for a while, and the political situation was not the best neither in Peru. There was a lot of insurgency going on, and so forth. So it was dangerous also for a while. So I took that decision to go somewhere. Initially, I didn't know where. I knew I had some relatives in Spain or in other countries in the States. Here, I had one relative that I didn't know them very well, but I had to do something. I'm the second of seven siblings, and I felt the need of helping my family. The economy in the family was not doing very well neither. So that was kind of like um, uh, the initial, I guess, what would you say, step towards coming to the States.
But you
Uh,
were in high school, right?
yeah, I just finished high school and I
Oh,
tried going into college, the only college in my town. But it was also very hard there because for many people, that was the only way to find a hope in that society. They only had like one admission per year. So about 30,000 people apply for only 2,000 vacancies. Very hard. And for the school that I was applying, which is civil engineer, I wanted to be an engineer. There was only 35 vacancies in over 2,000 applicants. So it was tough, but still,
where is this? In the US or Spain?
in Peru. That was
Ah,
in
in
Peru. I was
Peru.
in Peru,
Okay.
yes. So it was very hard to do that. And I studied as much as I could, took the exam, and I did not make it by just a fraction of a point. I didn't make it. That was very hard for me too, because I thought that that was going to be my ticket to at least have a path so that I can uh, be somebody. You know, at that time in my town, that was the only way uh, to really believe that you can do something in life. I was also naive in some areas, you know how we are when we are a 17-year-old. But I still, uh, I decided to do something about it. And that's how I had that idea of coming to the States. And even getting a visa was very difficult as well, because the list of things that you have to prove before, it's hard. I mean, I didn't have any money, but they asked for bank accounts, assets, and so forth. So that was also another barrier.
Yeah.
Uh, I tried that, didn't work, and I really wanted to. In my mind, I wanted to be in the States no matter what. And like many people living their countries,
Mhm.
I just took the very hard step of going, taking another route. And I was still 17 when I decided to do that. So I am a former unaccompanied minor that came to the States.
Especially
And,
at that age, they're very strict on that. Because
yeah.
especially when you apply for visa in the US, they
Mhm.
want to make sure that that you have that you will go back to your country, that you have a family, your kids, the properties, and so on. That's why you're very courageous in terms of trying this out, even without a family and 17 years old. Wow, that's super
Yeah.
young.
Yeah. In part was because of seeing my family really struggling, and seeing many families in my town, in the whole nation, the country was not doing well at all. It was kind of hard.
Yeah.
And I probably was one of those kids that didn't gonna accept that reality and wanted to do something better.
So, your family, were they very supportive in terms of your plan of living?
Not in the beginning, not at all.
Yeah.
I had to be very stubborn on that because, we never went out of the town. We were just a family that lived in the town for centuries. My family they barely moved to the areas, but I guess I was a different kid in some ways. But Peru was having such a hard time that a lot of youth were leaving the country. Even professionals were leaving the country because there was no employment. A lot of demonstrations in the streets sometimes because of there was not some basic needs were not covered, like food, for example. There was not enough, or gasoline and all those things. So it was hard, very hard
Mhm.
in those years.
And that was your dream now of helping your family
Yes, that was one
live
of the
in a
main.
better life
Well,
by
that was one of the main reasons I left, because I wanted to help my siblings. Like I mentioned, I was the second of seven, and the other ones were all little. Uh, and I wanted to do something, because my parents also sometimes would fight all because of money, and there was not enough things. Electricity sometimes was hard to pay because it was so expensive, so we had to cut electricity, and sometimes, yeah, all those things, very, very hard for a
yeah.
17-year-old.
I remember I'm the eldest in the family,
Hmm.
and we're not rich. We're also having my parents they value education. That's why they sent us to a private school, exclusive school for girls, a Catholic school.
Hmm.
But then it's like living paycheck to paycheck. They
Yeah.
would get loans for us to pay the tuition fee.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then it was hard. It was hard. So there was a point when I first had my first job, my first paycheck. Mom,
Hmm.
how can I help you? I was hoping that, okay, even a portion of my paycheck would go to the what's this, food expenses.
Right.
And my mom asked me, could you pay for the mortgage? Oh my. So, but
Hmm.
that's the only thing that I can do because I don't want, they just purchased a house
Hmm.
wherein that was the dream of my father. When he
Right.
leaves this earth, he told us that I want to leave something for my family.
Right.
So that's what I did. Okay. So nothing was left in my paycheck because it all went to the
So,
mortgage.
right.
So that's we have the same kind of culture,
Hmm.
right? Wherein we value family, we
Hmm.
value our parents, our siblings, and we'll do our best
We do our
help
best, yes.
help our
But
family survive.
and sometimes, there is that sacrifice that, some dreams may not be accomplished, but hopefully, along the way, others will show up, you know.
Yes,
And I think in a way that's what happened, because I never got to become um a civil engineer or a pilot. I wanted to be a pilot as well when I was 17, but along the way, new things showed up,
Be-
and I'm
because
very happy with that as well.
God has a plan for you in a different way.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
agree. I
And
agree
in a
with
way,
you.
we need to be open to that,
Yes,
because if we are only fixed on one thing, we may be closing some doors along the way.
exactly. So
Mhm.
where did you end up? In the US or Spain?
In the US, in
In
the
the US.
US,
But you
yeah.
tried also visiting Spain?
No, no, I
No.
tried to contact that relative, but it was kind of hard. So I ended up coming to the States, and the relative who was here, she was also a recent immigrant. She was also struggling in the beginning. You know how that is in the beginning. She was just having, her own apartment, her own initial job. So I felt like I didn't want to be a charge for her neither. So I also, from the beginning, I wanted to just help, find my jobs, and be a helper as well. So it was very hard because when we are in our country, sometimes we have this idea that the US is a place where everything just falls from the trees, and it's going to be so wonderful from day one. And But once we're here, the reality is different. It's tough. We need to work and also pay a lot of bills. At that
Mm.
time when I came, for example, just making those long distance phone calls were so expensive. I used to pay like 35 or $38 for half an hour or 45 minutes, something like that. And that
Mhm.
was a lot for a recent immigrant. And I remember a lot of my paychecks would go just for the phone bill,
Mm.
uh, then for the rent and so forth. So and I had
And there was no messenger yet, wherein we
Oh,
could be free.
no texting, no WhatsApp. Yeah,
Yeah.
so it was hard. So a lot of writing. I remember doing the letters.
Mhm.
Every week I would write letters to the family. And that was my main way of communication in the beginning. And I had to be as expressive as possible because in the letter it's a little limited to like when we are in WhatsApp or in a phone call. So I would draw sometimes, doing drawings and
Mm.
just in addition to the writing and so forth. So I
Mhm.
remember those days. It was hard, but at the same time, I started learning so much about life uh,
Mhm.
and cultures. I met people from all over the world, um, and also learning some of the frictions uh, among cultures. I noticed that also in the beginning,
Mhm.
um, which
Can you
was
share
quite.
about the frictions? What frictions
Um,
have you
yeah,
experienced?
yes, I can do that. And sometimes we don't hear much about it, but I think it's
Yes.
important
Yeah.
because when I arrived to the States, my idea of the United States was that everybody or most people were white. Okay,
Uh-huh.
uh, on the racial part. But once I arrived to DC, I noticed that all kind of people live here, not only whites, but there were people coming from Africa, from Asia, from Latin America. And then I found out that Latin America was a lot more diverse than I thought,
Uh-huh.
a lot more diverse. Central Americans, Mexicans. And it was interesting because sometimes I wouldn't understand the accent of a Mexican or people from Central America because they are also people from the cities and from the rural areas, and their accents are also different. So for me, it was kind of new and different. Um, and something that happens among recent immigrants is that we tend to kind of take care of our people only or
Mhm.
first, and we become
That's
a
where we
little.
get the support system with
Yes,
what's this, people from the same country, right? But I
yes.
think the Latinos, you have a bigger group. How is it being part of the Latino group? Are they,
Yeah.
you felt you belong?
In the beginning, yes and no, because it was nice to find people that speak your language, even
Mm-hmm.
though it was a little bit different. My ears needed to be adjusted a little bit for the different accents.
Uh-huh.
But once I crossed that, it was nice to hear other people speaking the same language. So I would be happy to just to talk to someone from anywhere who speak Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
That was one thing. But on the other side, sometimes there will be little frictions, like I mentioned. Uh, like some people would say, for example, oh, he's South American, so let's just stick with the Central Americans, or vice versa. Little things like that may happen. Um, some preferences may happen at work because of the different regions. So that was something interesting. However, the nice part was that once we got to know each other, whether at work or in the eating areas, that division kind of fade away. So people who are used to think that, oh, the Mexicans known are like that, or Central America like that, that diffused once we got to know each other. When we became friends, and when we talked about our struggles and things like that, it was like we are all a big family. And the same thing started to happening with people from other parts of the world. I
Mm-hmm.
became really good friends with some African friends, people from Asia, and so forth. So that was something interesting that that happens sometimes. especially I would say with the recent immigrants.
Actually, even in the Philippines, I've experienced a problem. Do you know this crab mentality? Wherein even though you're from the same country, they try to pull you down. And I don't know why they do it. And then, so for them to be successful, I don't know why.
Yeah.
And that's why it was also an experience for me, wherein a Filipino tried to pull me down.
Yeah.
I was just new and I don't know why.
I,
But then sometimes we just have to, okay, I'm the type of person who will just keep quiet. Okay, I'll just stay away and avoid whatever because I'm just new here.
yes.
And that's one problem which I have encountered. But then I told myself, ah, show and prove to that person that you're not a person who will just be a yes person. Prove
Right.
to them that I have value, that I moved here because there's something which I can share, the gift and talent which I could share to other people. It's all
Yeah.
about a
Yes.
mindset.
Yeah. And knowing that there are more things in life. It's very important because we could also easily get in that cycle of doing the same thing,
Mhm.
because sometimes there is some envy happening when someone starts getting a better job or something. That may happen, but if we play that same game, we may just, we may not go too far.
Mhm.
So it's really important to have that positive attitude and say, well, maybe that person is like that, but that is probably where he or she is at this moment. Uh, I'm gonna continue. I have bigger dreams
Yeah.
um, for my family or my friends or myself.
Yeah. And
For
that's
me,
the main thing why we're here. We have a purpose in life. And that dream is for our family to help them.
bye.
So what was your first job here when you got to
Oh,
the US?
yeah.
Uh-huh.
My very first job was like we used to joke saying I was a DJ.
A
You used
DJ?
to, you used to
Oh.
call DJ, uh, but that was actually washing dishes. That meant washing
Ah.
dishes.
Oh,
Yes.
wow. Oh, see?
So washing dishes was my very first job. Here in Washington, D.C., the hospitality industry is big. There are a lot of hotels, so it's one of the main industries. So I found a job just as a dishwasher, especially at nights. That's when a lot of people have time finding dishwashers. So I
Mhm.
said, okay, it's I cannot be complaining about the shifts and anything. At that moment, I needed a job because of the legal situation, but also um, because I needed to pay my debts. To come to the States, I had to borrow a lot of money and
Oh,
also to pay
yes.
my rent and so forth. So I didn't have that luxury of picking jobs because that was not the case at that time. So that was my first job, and uh, in a way, it was for me being an 18-year-old at that time. I took it as a challenge that it's going to be temporary. It's not going to be this forever. So I did it with my best effort. I washed hundreds and thousands of dishes and pans and all of that, uh, with a lot of sometimes happenings or singing. It was loud sometimes in the places where I work, but I I would say I didn't love it 100%, but I didn't dislike it either. I was just with other people doing this work. So I did that for about a year first, and while I was doing that, on my days off, I would also do something else, like good clean up, people's yards,
Mhm.
or help painting, and other jobs, cleaning schools. I used to do that at nights as well. As you know, whatever comes to my way, I always say yes because I needed to earn some money. Of course, everything needed to be also be a good job, a job that is productive. I wouldn't do anything wrong. Um, so that was pretty much what I've done my first year, especially. Um,
See, that's the thing. Other people are so ashamed and embarrassed of starting because others would say, "Oh, I'm already a professional back home," and
mm.
then when you come here, they get embarrassed to start all over again.
Yeah, that
But
must be hard too, because when I was doing, I was a dishwasher. I met a lot of people who, in their countries, they were accountants, teachers,
Mhm.
uh, and some of them they were those who were trying to really understand that, I might be a professional in my country, but here I need to start from zero. So I did value a lot those people who accepted that reality, although it's hard. But others, there were a few immigrants who they couldn't adjust that part, and they would just either return to their countries or it was hard for a lot of people. But I did value those who say, well, I need to start here from zero. And yeah, of course, I was an accountant in my country, but here I can restart. And yeah, it takes a lot of effort, a lot of
Courage. And what do you think is the main reason why it was hard for them to accept that fact?
for some people is perhaps the thought that they invested a lot of years studying, for example, for those positions, or could be personal reasons, maybe perhaps a little bit of pride
Mhm.
and so forth. Um,
I
in my case, I didn't have much, so it was perhaps a little easier for me to do the transition on that
Mhm.
part. But I do remember seeing some folks who I spent years and years already in universities, and they had to start from zero here.
I agree. Well,
Yeah.
we have experienced that. Even my husband, my late husband, experienced that. He was a veterinarian, and
Mm,
here he started as cleaning
mm.
animal cages in an animal clinic
Clinics, yeah.
until he was able to prove himself assisting vets to in the surgical procedure and so on,
Mm,
and then moved up. But then I agree with you, it's pride, that
mm.
the ego that is always there.
A
Oh,
little, yeah.
uh-huh. Oh,
Limit.
I should not be doing things. So they give up. They
Mm.
give up. So after that, how were you able to pursue your studies? Because now
Oh,
you
yeah. That
finish
that
your
was
doctorate.
also interesting because when I first came, it's I was or many immigrants are in what I call or we call the survival mode. So for that first year, it's all the effort is mainly just to secure a place to sleep and to have enough food and to be in a safe place as much as we can. So uh, at that time, that was my focus. But in the back of my mind, I also wanted to go to school. I still wanted to go to a university. In my country, I couldn't do that. So that was in the back of my mind. And I was so fortunate to find some people that also kind of gave me a hand on that. And in my book, I have a chapter there that talks about, uh, I wrote it as a question. Uh, can whites be angels or can a gringo be angels?
Could you
Um,
repeat that again, sir?
uh, can gringos be angels?
Oh,
Okay, because I came with that thought of perhaps whites were a little bit too cold, and perhaps they are not gonna help, and so forth. And I was totally wrong. Once I started meeting people that they heard my story. They saw me as a young guy who wanted to move forward, and I met this guy who was really helpful, really compassionate, So I write that in the book as well, how he was able to help me, even though I was skeptical in the beginning of meeting people, because of the journey that I had. So this person say, okay, once he heard that I was interested in going to college, he said, well, we can probably explore and see if any college here in the area may accept you even without documents. So we went to 3 or 4 different places and they all rejected me. They said, no, you need to have papers. At that time, there was, this is pre-DACA area. Um, so there were some schools were open for diversity, but when you didn't have documents, that didn't work. So I was rejected in 3 different colleges in the area. But then there was one more. He said, there is one school, American University. It's private. It's going to be expensive, but let's try. What if they say yes? We can probably work out something. So we did. We went there, and the admissions officer told me the same thing. No, you can't, be here because you need to have documents. But then he said, why don't you try going to the students admissions office, international student office? Maybe they can do something. So we went there. We made the
Also at the
appointment.
American University.
Yes, at American University. So once we went there, um, I went to the office and I saw the office, and it was a different office. The office had a lot of Native American ornaments in the walls. There was a couple of dream catchers. There was an eagle carved in wood, and it was quite different. So once the gentleman came in, um, I saw him, and he was a tall Native American.
Mhm.
His name is um, Dr. Joe Raincrow Neal. And so I was a little bit surprised to see that, because I wasn't expecting to see. It really felt like I was in a Native American office at American University.
Uh-huh.
So once I felt that, I kind of I introduced myself this way. I say, "Good morning, doctor." My English was still very basic, um, with my old accent. With "Good morning, doctor." I used to say doctor a lot.
Yeah.
Uh, um, my name is Ricardo Sanchez, and I am also a native from South America, from Incan descent. I said something that I usually don't introduce myself that way. And he responded by saying, I am Dr. Joe Raincrow Neal, chief of the Eagle clan of the Shawnees. And my brother Ricardo, I welcome you to this land.
Mm.
And that to me was life-changing, because I never, and up until that point, I never felt welcome by someone here in the States, and in such a way that they will even say, Ricardo, you are welcome here. He also said, you are valuable. Uh, this is your home.
Mhm.
With those words, I was in the verge of crying at that time, because I really felt something very special. And prior to that meeting, I thought that meeting was going to be another rejection, but turned out to be something really nice, almost like a ceremony, because I was feeling still so happy that I wanted to give him a hug or give him a present or something. But all I did was I pulled my flute. I have a flute that I always carry, because I like playing flutes. I used to have that in my backpack. So I pulled the flute and I play a song right in his office for him, as my way of saying things. So once I played that, uh, he said, uh, Ricardo, education should not have borders. Um, all I need for you is to be a diligent student, good student, and that's all we need. welcome to the United States, and welcome to American University.
Oh my.
Yeah. That was
Wow.
life-changing for me.
Wow.
So we talked about the details because at that time it was still going to be expensive. As he told me, you can come for one credit, take one class until you could afford and pay for the 3 credits. So we did the arrangements. He made a couple of phone calls, and I was beyond happy. And not only that, I felt validated. I felt like someone cared, and I I felt like a real human being because up until that point, my self-esteem was kind of down as well because being as a dishwasher, um, I feel like a little bit less. But with those words from him, uh, I felt that I am someone. I'm I'm a human being that just like anybody else, and so that was wonderful. And I take that moment, uh, you know, with me all the time. And whenever I interact with people, I try to mimic that because we are here in a big, it's a big family. And as long as we make people feel at home, that's what we're supposed to do as humans.
And what brought to my attention is you it was hard for you because you have this fixed mindset telling yourself, oh, I am just a dishwasher. Oh, I cannot speak fluently. Oh, I am from South America. I came from, I'm just starting here. I don't have the education. I don't have the experience and so on. And I don't have the money. But it is not all about those things because of your past pains. Those are the blockages that stop you from moving forward.
Mhm. True.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
So when you opened yourself and met a person who is aligned to your values, who is there to support your dream, everything just disappeared. All those blockages, right?
Mhm.
And
Yes.
you felt welcome and you felt a new human being again. And there's hope, and you felt that there's hope in life, but you
Yes.
took that uncomfortable action.
Yes.
You tried to apply. There are a lot of rejections, uh, but then
hmm
being supported by that friend of yours who was
hmm
an American, whom you thought was, oh, this will not help me because they have a different, you have that kind of perspective
Right.
already. But
hmm
when you started opening your mind, interacting with him, it brought you to more opportunities now.
hmm Yes.
And that's what I am telling the others, that if you get stuck in that comfort zone, nothing will happen. And
Mm-hmm.
because of fears, limiting beliefs, the doubts, and
Yes.
anxiety, nothing will happen. Actually, opportunities are at the borderline of that comfort
Yes,
zone.
you're right. You say a couple of words, fears and limiting beliefs. Those two things, I think, are the biggest blockages, not only for immigrants, but anyone. A lot
Anyone.
of people, we got stuck on those two because of fears. We just don't do a lot of things in life. We lose opportunities, and also those mindsets. So at some point, everyone, uh, we need to take some time to do some self-reflections and start sorting out things.
Yes.
Because at some point, fear was helpful, but unfortunately, fear stayed with us for too long, and we make decisions based on fear. For a long time, I was very fearful because of the way I came, and I didn't make a lot of decisions because of that. I didn't go to places because of that. But then after a while, I needed to work on fear. I'm a counselor. I kind of got some insights on how to help people with fear, but then I started applying on myself as well. So that was one of the, I mentioned, I said, I like saying another border to cross. So, and I started working on that. It's not easy, but
Oh, yes, it's not easy.
it's a work that needs to be done
Mm-hmm.
because you feel a lot more free and you feel like you took out a lot of weight from your back when fear is not there all the time or it's diminished.
Exactly. And I always consider fear as a partner. When I tried, and when you feel that feeling of fear, anyway, it's a temporary thing. It's a transient feeling. It's an emotion that could only last for, I don't know, 9 seconds or how many seconds, but
Mhm.
then it it disappears. So what I do is I embrace fear as a partner.
Mhm.
Fear wherein you will be seated at the passenger side of the car while you are still in control of the steering wheel. And
Mhm.
fear will just give you a push to challenge you because
Right.
when you're challenged, you're going out
Mhm.
of your comfort zone. And when you're out of your comfort zone, then that's the time that you are able to process that, hey, fear is just something that really would hold you. But when you go out of your comfort zone and you take action, uncomfortable action, then fear will just disappear. Instead of fear overpowering you, you are now managing your fear. That's
Mhm.
what I
Yeah.
always tell them. Yeah. The
Yeah.
intensity of fear. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's so true.
Uh-huh. So after American University, you took
Mhm.
your bachelor's degree there? What did
No, that's where I started taking because of my English was so basic. So the first classes that I started taking were art because I also had a really good attraction for art and drawing. So my first classes were about drawing, and then gradually I took some English classes there. And then after that, I a few years after that, I got my permit to work. So I had some documents. So
employment
my legal
authorization?
process, right? My legal process started kind of moving. So that's when I moved to a community college here in Virginia. And I did my studies there for 2 years. And then after that, I transferred to George Mason University.
Mm.
Um, After when I became a U.S. citizen, I moved to George Mason University, and that's where I got my bachelor's degree in marketing.
Mm.
Yes, it was, I mean, it took me about what, maybe 8 years until I got my bachelor's, no, maybe 10 years. Uh, but it was interesting because my idea was to be a businessman first by studying marketing. But in 1998, the internet was new and was kind of doing a lot of news. And so I became interested in the internet. And I spent a lot of time in the computer lab at the university. And I taught myself how to create websites. At that time, it was a lot of coding. Websites were not done the way it's done now. So I learned coding. I learned how to do some multimedia graphics. So once I finished my school, my bachelor's, I got a job in doing websites because the demand was high for that. So I spent maybe the next 8 to 10 years working on uh, organizations or mostly government contractors doing a lot of web-related work. Um, so that's pretty much how I spent the next years doing that. So I was in the IT world for a while. Um, but at the same time, I was taking groups of Americans to Peru once a year to visit Peru and some of the really nice sites in Peru. And without knowing, I was already doing some coaching work without really knowing it, because for me it was just a chance to go and see uh, my family while I was doing that. Uh, but in the process, I saw a lot of people having really interesting changes, shifts, because the cross-cultural part was happening. People would get really moved, moved by seeing how the Incas and the pre-Incas lived alive in a more natural way and so forth. We connected with elders in Peru. Uh, so I was in a way doing facilitation without much training, but I was kind of learning doing that. So that's how I started thinking maybe I should study counseling or or social work because this is related to this. So that's pretty much how I did. I shifted from IT and I started doing more counseling work. I went back to school for my master's in counseling. So I got my clinical mental health counseling master's degree from George Mason University as well. And so I did that and started working with families. I did some work with Counselors Without Borders, which is an organization that goes to places where there were, you know, emergencies or different um, difficult situations. So the type of counseling was more like it needed to be more fast, the intervention, in part because of we only have like weeks to work with families and so forth. Then I worked in areas related to domestic violence, working with families and so forth. So that was really interesting, nice. I loved it. And the opportunity to do my PhD came along, and I took it, and I did my dissertation on um, unaccompanied minors coming from Central America and reuniting with their families here in the States. Yeah, so I got my doctorate degree in 2019. And since then,
Wow.
I've been working with the university. I'm still teaching at the university as an adjunct professor and doing my consulting work and trying to help people from all walks of life, including immigrants.
Wonderful. See, look at that journey. I I I I just want to congratulate you, Dr. Ricardo, for this wonderful sharing that you I mean the time you've spent with me here, sharing your story and inspiring those who would like, even those who are still in their own country and would still want to come over, and
Mhm.
then not only in the US, probably in other countries wherein they could develop the gifts that they have. You had that gift, the gift of being or helping other people, the gift, the talent of being a coach to other people. I think
Mhm.
it's like more like what I do, it's like more of a ministry work.
In a way, yeah, sometimes you
Yes, it's a
sound
ministry
okay.
work, but we find so much fulfillment, so much joy whenever we help other people. And that's why when someone asks me, how do you define success?
Mm,
And I told him, you know what? Success is not about the status. It's
mm,
not about the money. It's not about the position. For me,
mm.
success is when I am able to share that light for others so they may be able to share that light for others as well.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
That's for me is success.
Mm-hmm. I
What a
agree.
great but so what is now your goal for the
Mm-hmm.
next 12 months?
My goal for the next 12 months is to continue what I'm doing. I started opening up what I call border talks. Uh, it is a space to talk about immigrants' experiences, to clarify a lot of the misconceptions happening, especially these days with immigrants. Also, trying to increase more my participation with organizations who would like to improve their relationships with their workers. A lot of immigrants, and this is part of because I went through. There are some situations at work in which, for example, burnout in companies happening in a slightly different way with immigrants because of language, because of culture. We might be experiencing burnout, but we don't say it many times because of those barriers. And sometimes we just leave the job and without really knowing what was happening, without really communicating with our managers and so forth. So improving those communications so that organizations can understand a little bit more the dynamics at work. So that's pretty much what I try doing, or sometimes helping organizations who would like to reach out better the immigrant community.
Mm-hmm.
Again, sometimes cross-cultural issues may be there and we don't usually see them. So making that transition, it's helpful. And all of this, I tried doing it because of my own experience, but also based on the data. Trying to see, where things can be improved and how we can measure those improvements.
Wonderful,
Yeah.
wonderful.
And,
Wonderful.
especially on the area of border talks, I liked opening up these spaces with faith communities or community organizations where they would like to understand better the immigrant families, the immigrant experience. And sometimes I use my book as a way to enter, and let me put it this way here,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Please
to
show
enter the
them your book.
conversation. It's called Before and After the Border.
Yes.
It's not only about my memoirs, but it also explains, in part, what happens in some of the nations or why people migrate in waves to the States, so that we can understand better why people are making those huge decisions to just leave their families and countries to come here, because it's not easy at all.
Of course, it's not easy. It's not easy. And you have also shared with us also during the networking event that you have this self-renewal retreat as well that you offer.
Yes.
And this is one way for you to be more connected to God. And because like you, I get strength, and I get strength from God. For what happened in my life, it is only God who gave me so much hope and strength, and that's how we increase our faith as well. But one last thing before we end, what advice would you like to share to our listeners? Simple advice.
Simple advice. Um, let's open or let's keep the communication open with our loved ones, especially starting from home. I think, especially today where there is so much loneliness happening, um, let's continue that conversation with our kids, with our loved ones, and then from there expanding it to our community. I think that is really helpful uh, to grow and to prevent a lot of things that may hurt us along the way. So I think communication, just keeping the communication, especially at home.
And not only communication that I get from you, it's about the connection that we should
Mhm.
keep, that we should cherish. Time is limited. We don't have enough time here on earth. So the only
Mhm.
thing that we can do is make use of the time given
Right.
to us.
The best way that we
And
can.
what I've learned is through human connection.
Mhm.
And I'm not after now about what I've mentioned about material things. It's about the importance of connecting with people and see how we can make an impact and make a difference.
Yes, yes,
Yes.
That's true. And you are doing such a wonderful work by doing that as well.
Thank you so much. I think we were called by God to do this. He has a plan for us and a mission for us, and we are being used as instruments to share His love for us through us.
True.
Thank you so much, Dr.
Thank you
Ricardo.
so much,
So
Cynthia.
how can they connect with you?
Okay. They can connect two ways. By going to our website, which is related to the retreats. It's www.eaglecondorcenter.org, or by sending an email at rsanchez with Z at the end at journeywithin.llc.
Great, great.
Okay.
Again, may I repeat? It's your website, by the way, also.
Yeah, the website for the retreats. I'm working on my website for the consulting partner. I actually have
So the website is eaglecondorcenter.org.
center.org. Yeah,
Okay.
and also you can find me in LinkedIn. I have a lot of information there on what I do. I publish articles there on different topics related to organizations or the border talks that I was talking about.
And also in other social media like YouTube and
Yes, and on
Facebook. Do you have
YouTube.
Facebook?
Yes,
Okay. So
yes.
they will just look for
For
Dr.
Eagle
Ricardo.
Condor Center.
I see.
Or Ricardo, yes, or Ricardo
Oh,
Sanchez.
okay.
I mean, my last name is very common, so
Sanchez.
just type Ricardo O. That's Sanchez. So
Okay.
that's probably the best way to find me.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dr.
Thank you,
Ricardo.
Cynthia.
And it's really an honor to have you here. And what a wonderful interview we had. Such
Yes,
an inspiring story. Now I'm sure a lot of our listeners got inspired and now feel empowered that, hey, we can do it. If he
can do it.
was able to do it, I can do it.
I can do it. Yes, yes. And thank you for what you do too. This is a great channel to spread the word.
Yeah, this is my way of really supporting each one of you and even to the listeners that we have that power to create the life we love to live. Okay, to our listeners, thank you and watch out for the next episode. I would like to say God bless to all. Bye.
Thank you.